In 1955, when Disneyland opened, Davy Crockett was on the minds of nearly every guest under 4 feet tall. The Ballad of Davy Crockett had hit #1 on the musical charts, and it seemed that Americans couldn't get enough cowboys and Indians. This, of course, made Frontierland one of the most popular and sought after of Disneyland's 5 themed lands. From opening day, when Ronald Reagan opened the gates to this land of American heritage, it seemed that Disneyland's frontier accurately reflected that of America's own great past. The entrance to Frontierland was that of a giant log fort with some friendly Indians camping out front. This land had much to offer its eager guests as they came dressed in their cowboy and Indian regalia. There was the Golden Horseshoe Review, where guests could watch daily a true frontier vaudeville show. The Mark Twain gave visitors to the American frontier a glimpse of life along the riverfront. Across the way from the Frontierland ghost town and wilderness outpost was the little mining village known as Rainbow Ridge. Rainbow Ridge was often the site of a fierce gun battle between the Frontierland sheriff and a villain trying to make a getaway with the gold from the nearby Rainbow Mine. Here in Rainbow Ridge, young cowboys and girls would find many exciting Western attractions, such as the stagecoach rides through the Painted Desert and the pack mule rides through the wilderness. But these rides through the desert on stagecoaches and wagons were often a hot and dirty ride. So in July of 1956, the Rainbow Caverns mine train took its cargo of excited young miners on a trip through the desert and, as a bonus, through the coolness of the eerie Rainbow Cavern mines. But of course, being Walt Disney, this would be no ordinary mine. Here Walt and his genius combined the Old West with the new wondrous technology called blacklight. Guests were treated to an amazing display of stalactites and stalagmites darting out at them between beautiful displays of rainbow pools of waterfalls and underground rivers, Bridal Veil Falls, Paint Pot Falls, and others, all poured into Geyser Grotto. Guests were fascinated by the colored water that skipped and splashed about, but never mixed in with the other colors. This effect was brought to us by Imagineer Claude Coates, who perfected the impossible over 35 years ago. With the popularity of the Rainbow Caverns growing even stronger through the late 1950s, the Rainbow Mine Ride became, through a major expansion in 1960, nature's wonderland. The stagecoaches and wagons that once plowed through Frontierland's wilderness along the banks of the rivers of America were now gone. Even the path they took along the river was replaced by a giant mountain called Cascade Peak. With its beautiful waterfalls, the mine trains now glided over the tracks through Cascade Peak and into Bear Country to see some of the most beautiful scenes of nature's wonderland. There were now over 200 realistically displayed wild animals in nature's wonderland, which took most of its ideas from the popular true-life adventure nature films.
The old saying, "These are the things that dreams are made of," might well apply to these scale models and the drawings and blueprints. At least, when we dream up new ideas for Disneyland, they first take shape and form in such preliminary studies as this. It has been said that Disneyland will never be complete. In fact, I said it. That there will always be something new and unusual. And that's our hope. In Frontierland, even the past has a future. For instance, we redesigned the entire desert area and expanded it way out to there. We added more wildlife, mountains and waterfalls appeared, and it has become nature's wonderland.
Walt wasn't pleased with the fact that there wasn't anything humorous in the park. He wanted some humor put in it. So he said to Mark, he said, you know, instead of starting on another film right now, he said, I'd like to have you go down to the park and walk through the park and see where you can put some humor in and get the park with humor. And so he went down and he took his sketchbook along and made notes and so on, and then came back, and I guess he did it for about a week or so. He did some drawings and things that he thought would add to the park and showed them to Walt, and one of them was changes in the Nature's Wonderland. He was had a lot of drawings that he showed Walt. Walt said, "Oh, for God's sake," he said, "I just spent $50,000 redoing that, and now you're going to cost me money because what you've done is much better." The thing that Mark disliked most about it was that when you got into the train to go for the ride, you, instead of looking at the ride, you were facing a stranger, total stranger, and it was not comfortable looking at a stranger, and you had to twist your body to see what's coming at you, and you always want to see what's happening in front of you. So they changed the seating in the train, which was much better, and there was they just plunked animals around in the place. So Mark, they had these two little foxes, one where the fox was sitting on a rock shaking his head up and down like yes, and then you went quite a distance and there was another one that was shaking his head side to side, which meant no. So Mark put them together and it made a funny scene. Then the other thing that Mark was very set against was using animal fur. He said that it doesn't last, and Disney does not kill animals to have a skin. So he started putting synthetic fur and using fur cloth, which is the only thing that they use now. And also it solved one of the bird problems, because the birds were coming and pulling the hair out of the fur to make their nests. And pretty soon you had a deer that didn't have much fur on him. Looked rather mangy.
The attraction was so popular, it was featured in a 1963 Tony Curtis movie, 40 Pounds of Trouble. Like the Jungle Cruise skippers, the first railway engineers read a spiel that changed based upon the audiences. However, trying to keep the idea alive that every guest received the same experience, it was decided to use a recorded spiel, rather than rely on the various train conductors' somewhat cloudy memory. Dal McKenna, who was already well known as the voice of Gumby, as well as the voice of a rather crabby prospector, was chosen to become the recorded narrator for this attraction.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the little mining town of Rainbow Ridge, the gateway to nature's wonderland. As we head for the wilderness, a couple of suggestions. Please stay seated at all times and keep your hands and arms inside the train.
Now, as we head on in the wilderness, there's a couple of suggestions. Please stay seated at all times and keep your arms and legs in. No smoking, please. We don't want no forest fires.
Now, beyond these hills lies nature's wonderland. You're apt to see a whole lot of wildlife, so keep a real sharp hunter's eye.
Well, sir, I'm glad to have an opportunity to share with you folks again because, oh, it's so much fun. We have a chance once more to talk about what happens when you go through nature's wonderland.
See, look on that bank across Bear Creek there. Now, there's a real struggle for survival. Two stags are battling for them cow elk. Maybe you folks can tell me, though, does getting two women folk mean you're the winner or the loser? Never could figure that one out.
Well, all I know is they had me as one of the first people that ever got people together that would come and see the show and tell them exactly what we can and couldn't do with the nature's wonderland. All the other areas that are so thrilling and they're having so much fun. And so they finally ended up making me a man who would actually run. Yeah, I'd actually make it run on itself. And we'd go on down, and we would be telling him more and more what it's going to be like when we get there, because when we do, we know exactly what's going to happen. And boy gets so excited they can hardly wait. And so you see, you can think about it a little bit more. Yeah, now, then we went on with the next ride. He even had me do some of the voices of some of the little birds, little birdies, and besides other characters that I'd be doing. I don't know. Walt Disney would ask me to do anything that would be of more interest for the people. And they'd come all day riding down the mountain. All right, now everybody hold your arms and legs in before they get ripped off. Boy, they get to the bottom and I think, oh, we could have fallen right into the ditch. But we kept right on going.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Extinct Attraction Club takes you back in time to the early 1960s for a ride aboard Nature's Wonderland and a trip through the Rainbow Caverns.
Howdy, partner. This here is Rainbow Ridge. And for fun and excitement you'll never forget, why don't you take a mine train ride? Reckon you'll agree there's nothing like the Rainbow Caverns in the whole wide world. Aboard our little mine train, you'll head out through a natural arch bridge and into Rainbow Desert, a wasteland just chock full of thrilling surprises, rattlers, a pesky coyote, and some of the strangest looking cactus you ever laid eyes on. If you're lucky, you might get past the teetering rocks. And then you'll plunge deep into the darkness of Rainbow Caverns for a sight that'll thrill you right down to your toes. Tons and tons of water, every color of the rainbow, pouring down from above on every side. Yes, sirree, partner. You'll be real glad you tore out that little old sea coupon for the Rainbow Caverns mine ride.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the little mining town of Rainbow Ridge, the gateway to Nature's Wonderland. As we head for the wilderness, a couple of suggestions. Please stay seated at all times and keep your hands and arms inside the train. The animals get mighty hungry. And no smoking, please, because we don't want to start a forest fire. Now, beyond these hills lies Nature's Wonderland. You're apt to see a whole lot of wildlife, so keep a real sharp hunter's eye. As we come out of this first tunnel, we'll be entering Beaver Valley. Looks like the beavers are building another dam. Yes, sir, they're really busy as a, well, busy as a beaver. Them little marmots over the tunnel must be a-whistling to all you pretty gals. I can't say I blame them. If you never gone beneath a waterfall before, then get set, because we're coming up on Big Thunder, the biggest falls in all these here parts. You don't have to worry, though, unless the wind changes. Them other two falls they call the Twin Sisters. Reckon that's because they're always babbling. We're coming into bear country now, folks. And while we're crossing the old trestle, you gotta sit real still. No telling how long she's gonna last. You know, bears are one of the most playful animals there is. Lazy, too. All they want to do is lay around and scratch and fish and swim. That is when they ain't sleeping. You know, Nature's Wonderland is awful pretty, but sometimes she can be a mighty rugged place to live. Out here in the wilderness, the struggle for survival leaves only the strong and sometimes the lucky. Say, look on that bank across Bear Creek there. Now there's a real struggle for survival. Two stags are battling for them cow elk. Maybe you folks can tell me, though, does getting two women folk mean you're the winner or the loser? Never could figure that out. As we pass through old Natural Arch Bridge, you can see the great living desert down below. You know, the desert's a dry place and full of some pretty mean varmints. Gotta be careful of sidewinders, wild pigs, and even mountain lions. But the desert's got her beauty, too. The yeller streaks are running through them sandstone cliffs are called coconino. The red, we call them supai. Now ahead of us, folks, is a giant saguaro cactus forest. The desert heat sometimes gets to you and makes these here cactus take on strange shapes like animals, sometimes even people. Aha! Look down there on your left. Them wild pigs is caught up with old Mr. Bobcat. He's in kind of a sticky situation. Say, ever hear of the devil's paint pots? Real mystery of the desert. Bubbling pots of mud in all kinds of colors. This is geyser country, too. Oh, there she blows. Sure glad you all brought your raincoats, but look out now. We never know when she's gonna go off. That's why we call her Old Unfaithful. Look out now! You folks in them last cars be ready. She's a-threatening again. You know, I hear tell a long time ago dinosaurs roamed this area. Of course, all you find now is cactus, snakes, and coyotes. And sometimes the sun-bleached bones of an ancient animal. There's the voice of the desert, the coyote. Now, folks, we gotta get through Balancing Rock Canyon. Look out! They're starting to tumble. Watch that wildcat, lady. Oh, glad he stayed up there. We've known these critters to take on a full-grown deer more than 10 times their size and weight. You know, last trip, a mountain lion showed up right over that tunnel. There's one now, so you better all be real quiet. Now we're going deep into the earth to view the dazzling rainbow caverns. You'll see giant stalagmites, stalactites, and colorful falls on every side. Say, if you look real careful, you'll see Geyser Grotto, and even the Witch's Cauldron. Well, I see we're coming back to Rainbow Ridge again. I hope you all enjoyed your trip into nature's wonderland. Please stay in your seats till I get the train stop, will you? And then just lift up the jump seat in the middle and the door will come right open. Now, to find the exit, folks, just head right for the front of the train. And if you got a mountain lion sitting next to you, don't feed him. Just tell him to hop out and hightail it back to his own stomping ground. Well, thanks for riding along, and come on back again when you're out in these here frontier parts, will you? So long.
Nature's Wonderland closed on New Year's Day, 1977. Guests were now more accustomed to flashy rides such as the Haunted Mansion, the Matterhorn, and the Pirates of the Caribbean. They didn't want to waste their e-tickets on an aging mine train they had been on many times before.
And because I was a conductor, they made me a member of the Red Handkerchief family. The Red Handkerchief. You had to wear a red handkerchief. That means that you have been one of the riders, one of the drivers on the very same one that you have ridden before. Believe me, it gave us a chance to get better acquainted because, howdy folks. Now everybody hold your arms and legs in, because we ain't going to get thrown around again. Let's get ready to go. All right, hey, hi. And away we go.
Mark Davis did a proposal for the replacement of Nature's Wonderland, an attraction that would encompass all of the land area of the mine train's large parcel of Frontierland real estate. This new e-ticket attraction was known as the Western River Expedition. Traveling by boat, not unlike the Jungle Cruise, guests would travel back to the Old West. Rainbow Ridge would come to life with drunken Indians, a gunfight, and a look at local characters. through the painted desert to a party of wild Indians doing a rain dance where it just rained on them. Past crazy peddlers and through a holdup in which even the horses wore bandanas. Mark's humor and style were clearly seen in this original proposal for this colossal attraction. As grand as Mark's designs were, budget concerns shelved the project.
When it was all set, ready to go in the park, they turned it down because there was another ride that was cheaper. Didn't cost as much money, and they put it in instead. And Mark was very disturbed about it because it would have been a fun ride. It was a river ride, so you went in a boat. And it starts out with cactuses that are singing and buffalo singing with prairie dogs, and then a cowboy with his banjo playing, and the cows, the longhorn cows, are singing with him as a chorus. And then you get to the town, and the town drunks. And when it's so drunk, he has his horse up on the roof of the saloon. And there's a group that come in to try to rob the bank. And there's a guy that's in jail, and the sheriff is sitting on his horse outside the jail, and you can see this burrow of dirt going underneath the horse, so the guy escaping, digging out from the jail. And then there's the women walking their children by the saloon, and they've got their hands over their eyes, fingers in the ears so they can't hear or see what's going on in the saloon. And the medicine man with the little kids watching to see what the medicine man's talking about, and the dogs having a fight over on the other side, and a pig coming by with her litter, and all kinds of fun things all the way through. He did these horses. There was a coach robbing a coach, a stagecoach, and these horses had bandanas on along with the robbers. And there's also some Indians doing a rain dance so they could get rain, and they're up on a plateau, and it's raining on the plateau where they're dancing, but it's not raining anywhere else. But there's grooves of water coming down from the top of the plateau, like little waterfalls. And there's Indians that are very disturbed by the drunks, and the drunks are firing off guns and that, and the Indians are sitting there with their fingers in their ears with a very pained expression on their face. And there's one that is politically incorrect that couldn't be used now, but it's very funny, and it's a drunk Indian tipping his hat to a tobacco store Indian out in front. It's just the Wild West and what it was like.
With the popularity of Space Mountain and other roller coaster theme parks in the mid-70s, Nature's Wonderland was cleared in order for Big Thunder Mountain to move in. Borrowing its name from the waterfalls the little mine train would travel under.
If you never gone beneath a waterfall before, then get set, 'cause we're coming up on Big Thunder, the biggest falls in all these here parts.
An all-new attraction was designed by Tony Baxter, Big Thunder Mountain. This attraction opened in 1979, using the original Rainbow Ridge town as a backdrop.
It's hard to believe we're only going 85 miles an hour. Whoa!
The overriding things are dealing with gravity. So everything has to work on, does the train have enough power to get back to where it started from, and you work around it. So what we did, we built a standard track that looked like a roller coaster, and then built models up of these rockwork formations to hide all the structure that holds that up.
How do you design how fast it goes?
Actually, I fight with a computer. We have people in the engineering department, and they work with computer controls and so forth, and we would do what we like aesthetically, and then give it to the computer, and the computer would say, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that, try again. And actually, on Big Thunder, we went through 9 designs before the art department and the computer department were happy with one another.
Now, I know how fast this one goes. I was on it this morning. It goes 85 miles an hour, right?
Not really, but it seems like it because it's so close to everything.
How fast does it go?
Actually, it's about 23, but when you scale down the vehicles and you scale the rockwork right up next to the car, it gives you an impression of tremendous speed.
Are we going to get wet standing here?
You're hearing an earthquake, and that's the climax to Big Thunder. The last thing that happens to our guests is they go deep into the mountain, and literally all hell breaks loose. We have rocks falling down, and of course they come out, and in a second you're going to see them splash down right behind us.
I don't like the expression splash down.
I think we might be out of the rain, so we'll have to wait and see.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
That's a fun ride. Here it comes.
We escape.
We escape. I didn't get too wet.
That's the whole trick around here, is combining show with thrills. You can go everywhere and ride a roller coaster, but only at Disneyland you take an adventure that takes you not only on a thrilling experience, but you have the atmosphere.
Mr. Dal McKenna once again was called upon to play the prospector for the safety spiel on Big Thunder Mountain.
I did my own recording in my own studio, and I sent it down to my friend in Burbank. So I sent my recording of what they asked me to do, and I did it, and they came back and said it's exactly what we were after.
Howdy, folks. Please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the train and remain seated at all times. Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, 'cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to Thunder Mountain. And I want to remind you folks, keep your arms and legs inside the train and remain seated at all times. Hang on to them hats and glasses, for this here is the wildest ride in the wilderness. Yeah!
Sorry for the hold-up, folks. There seems to be a slow-moving train up ahead, so we got to sit here for a spell. You just remain seated.
Sorry to hold you folks up here, but there seems to be a slow-moving train up ahead. Yes, sir. So we gotta sit here for a spell, and I figured you folks will just remain. Oh, now stay seated there, won't you? And we'll be right with you. Because somebody lost their arm somebody lost an arm or a leg or something in one of the train rides.
Okay.
And because there was a train ride with their problem, they asked me to redo it. Now, when they sent me the letter, they told me all the information, everything about it. The only thing is, I knew right now they're going to have problems. Why? Because people would not hold their arms and legs in. So keep your arms and legs in before they get ripped off.
When I was little, I got confused with the Big Thunder Mountain on the mine train, the Nature's Wonderland ride. When I was very little, I thought that the back of that ride, there was like a little mountain peak, and it looked almost like the Matterhorn. And you know, just as a little kid, your sense of proportion is different. So, you know, I could get a little disoriented in that. To me, you know, obviously a big park, especially to a little kid.
Nature's Wonderland was an enormously large ride that encompassed a great deal of Frontierland's real estate. Still today, the town of Rainbow Ridge beside the tracks of Big Thunder and many of the rocks from Balancing Rock Canyon can still be seen at the entranceway to Big Thunder Ranch. Today, Cascade Peak gives us one of the best glimpses of the Nature's Wonderland. One of the trains is still on the tracks due to what seems to be an avalanche. The entranceway to Cascade Peak is now boarded up. The bridge over Bear Country is still visible from the pathways near Big Thunder. The bridge that once took guests over the river now extends into space. But sometimes, if you look close, you can still see splashing where Nature's Wonderland's fish once leapt. Today at Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California, the Calico Mine Ride offers guests a chance to experience a little bit of Nature's Wonderland's charm. This attraction uses so many of the same show elements as the Nature's Wonderland attraction and has been in continuous operation since the early 1960s. The Calico Mine Ride is the closest way to return to Nature's Wonderland today.
All aboard, folks. All aboard the mine train. We're leaving right away. Heading for the wilderness where the bear and coyotes play.
Now, that waterfall's called Big Thunder, but you won't get wet unless the wind changes.
Rolling across the trestle, heading for the mine. If you feel like swimming, jump in, the water's fine.
And up there,
Those bears are really happy, their young uns left to climb.
that critter there, that's Itchy Sam. He's having himself a time. Hey, and look, there's an Elks convention. Howdy, Hootie. Did we wake you up?
Traveling on the mine train through nature's wonderland.
Well, here comes the stage from Grizzly Gulch. That's where all the gold is panned. And there's the only man-made natural bridge in America.
Here in the living desert, you can't believe your eyes.
Sorry, no hitchhikers.
If you told the folks back home, they'd think it's a pack of lies. There's varmints all around us, their appetites are keen.
Hey, keep your hands back inside the train. See what I mean?
Those old unfaithful geysers live up to their name, you know. You can't tell when they'll blow their tops, they blow and blow and blow. Yep, there they blow again. Steady, folks.
That's no house cat.
We're in the land of dancing rocks, watch 'em rock and roll. We've had a lot of close ones, but we've never lost a soul. 'Cause traveling on the mine train is a mighty happy ride. And now we're coming to the mine, let's see the sights inside.